All right, clap it up. Shalom, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh, Shabbat, God to the brothers. Shalom, Yahweh, Shema, Adab, Hashem, Yahweh, Shabbat to the sisters. This is DC Monday History class. This is DC Monday History class. We're going to go into the history of the Apocrypha. We're going to go into Matthew. We're going to pick back up at Matthew. First Maccabees. We're going to be at First Maccabees, chapter 7. Was it chapter 8 or chapter 7? Chapter 8. We're going to start at chapter 8, verse 1. All right.
Share the class.
I'm going to start to pick it up. Mm-hmm.
First Maccabees, chapter 8, verse 1. Now Judas had heard of the fame of the Romans, that they were mighty and valiant men, and such as would lovingly accept all that joined themselves unto them, and make a league of amity with all that came unto them. Verse 2. And that they were men of great valor. It was told him also of their wars and noble acts which they had done among the
Galatians.
Among the Galatians, and how they had conquered them and brought them under tribute. Verse 3. And what they had done in the country of Spain for the winning of the mines of the silver and gold which is there. Verse 4. And that by their prophecy and patience they had conquered all the place.
Did it say policy?
And that by their policy and patience had conquered all the place, though it were very far from them. And the kings also that came against them from the uttermost part of the earth, till they had discomfited them.
Right, so this is Judas. Judas, he's conquering in his area in Israel. And then we know Europe is above Israel. So it's a little far off. But even though a person is far off, their wars and them having victories in their wars, word of mouth had to spread. Word of mouth will spread, and eventually the whole world will hear about you, even if you're far away. All right, go ahead.
Come.
Mm-hmm.
And giving them a great overthrow, so that the rest did give them tribute every year. Verse 5. Besides this, how they had discomfited in battle Philip and Perseus, king of the Catams, with others that lifted up themselves against them and had overcome them. Verse 6. How also Antiochus, the great king of Asia, that came against them in battle, having 120 elephants with horsemen and chariots, and a very great army, which was discomfited by them. Verse 7. How they took him alive and coveted it, that he and such as reigned after him should pay a great tribute and give hostages, and that which was agreed upon. Verse 8. And the country of India and Media and Lydia and the goodliest countries which they took of him and gave to King Eumenes.
Mm-hmm. So this is the Rome. This is talking about how Judas is here in the power of Rome. Rome has gotten strong and just conquered everything. Just like everybody. Like you had at one time Egypt was the one. At one time, how does it go? It goes Egypt, Babylon, Persia and the Medes, the Greeks, and I believe the Romans. The lineup should be in Daniel. What's the keyword I can get you to look up real quick? See if you look at just Daniel chapter 7 and pull up the keyword Persian, the Medes, or Midians, and it should be Grecians in Daniel also. But this is showing how powerful Rome is. Like Rome is now conquering the previous dynasties and kingdoms that were strong. Like we read before, how Judas was fighting against Philip and fighting against King Antiochus and fighting against certain kingdoms, and now you have the Romans have came and conquered King Antiochus, Perseus, Philip conquered King Antiochus, and India and Media, and then you read. Go ahead and read verse 9.
Verse 9.
Mm-hmm.
Moreover, how the Grecians had determined to come and destroy them. Verse 10. And that they, having knowledge thereof, sent against them a certain captain, and fighting with them slew many of them, and carried away captives, their wives and their children, and spoiled them, and took possession of their lands, and pulled down their strongholds, and brought them to be their servants unto this day. Verse 11. It was told by him besides how they destroyed and brought under their dominion all other kingdoms and isles that at any time resisted them.
Right. So this is just giving up the history of how Rome came into power and giving up and showing how they conquered all the previous strongholds and destroyed all the previous strongholds. And they even went to Fort Greece. That's how, at one time Greece was powerful, and then Rome conquered Greece, and then Rome came to ultimate power. Go ahead.
Verse 12. But with their friends and such as relied upon them, they kept amity, and that they had conquered kingdoms both far and nigh, insomuch as all that heard of their name were afraid of them.
Right. Rome struck fear. Edomites was going to war, conquering everything, and struck fear in the world, in the known world at that time. Go ahead.
Verse 13. Also that whom they would help to a kingdom, those reign, and whom again they displaced. Finally, that they were greatly exalted. Verse 14. Yet for all this, none of them wore a crown, or was clothed in purple, to be magnified thereby. Verse 15. Moreover, how they had made for themselves a senate house, wherein 320 men sat in council daily, consulting all way for the people, to the end they might be well ordered. Mm-hmm. Verse 16. And that they committed their government to one man every year, who ruled over their country, and that all were obedient to that one. Right.
So this is the beginning of giving a president a chance every year or every couple years. America gets this from America's baby Rome, and a lot of their ways they run government is very Roman. So here you're showing how they gave a leader, 1 year. I mean, they gave a king or president.
It said kind of leader. Didn't it say a leader?
Read it again.
So let me go back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Verse 15. Moreover, had they made for themselves a senate house, wherein 320 men sat in council daily, consulting all way for the people to the end they might be well ordered.
And what verse is this?
That was 15. It might have been 16.
Right, you see the word, you said this is Senate House.
Come.
Senators, Senate, all that is here. We got senators today.
Come.
We got the House of Senate today. You know what I'm saying? So as you see, the government, the order of government came from, and democracy came from Rome.
Come.
That's where democracy came from. Go ahead and read it.
Verse 16.
It's like, did you find it? It's probably Daniel. I'm about to pull it now. I think it's Daniel 8 and 21. Continue to read. Go ahead.
Come. Verse 16. And that they committed their government to one man every year, who ruled over all their country, and that were all obedient to that one, and that there was neither envy nor emulation among them. Verse 17. In consideration of these things, Judas chose Eupolemus, the son of John, the son of Akos, and Jason, the son of Eleazar, and sent them to Rome to make a league of amity and confederacy with them. Verse 18. And entreat them that they would take the yoke from them, for they saw that the kingdom of the Grecians did oppress Israel with servitude. Verse 19. They went there.
Read verse 17 again. Go ahead.
Verse 17. In consideration of these things, Judas chose Eupolemus, the son of John, the son of Akos, and Jason, the son of Eleazar, and sent them to Rome to make a league of amity and confederacy with them.
Go ahead.
Verse 18. And to entreat them that they would take the yoke from them, for they saw that the kingdom of the Grecians did oppress Israel with servitude.
Right. So right here it's saying Judas wanted to team up with Rome, and we're gonna see who's running Rome at this time. Was it the Edomites or was it black people in Rome? What we're gonna see. But if it was Edomites, he's going to try to push Rome against Greece, because Greece is right now, we're under Greece. Right now, at that time, he's being oppressed by, as it says, Israel was being oppressed by the Grecians. Go ahead and read.
Okay. Verse 19. They went therefore to Rome, which was a very great journey, and came into the Senate, where they spake and said, verse 20, Judas Maccabees with his brethren and the people of the Jews have sent us on to you to make a confederacy and peace with you, and that we might be registered your confederates and friends. Verse 21. So that matter pleased the Romans well. Verse 22. And this is the copy of the epistle which the Senate wrote back again in tables of brass, and sent to Jerusalem, that there they might have by them a memorial of peace and confederacy. Verse 23. Good success be to the Romans and to the people of the Jews, by sea and by land forever. The sword also an enemy be far from them. Verse 24. If there come first any war upon the Romans or any of their confederates throughout all their dominion, verse 25, the people of the Jews shall help them, as the time shall be appointed with all their heart. Verse 26. Neither shall they give anything unto them that make war upon them, or aid them with victuals, weapons, money, or ships, as it hath seemed good unto the Romans. But they shall keep their covenants without taking anything therefore. Verse 27. In the same manner also, if war come first upon the nation of the Jews, the Romans shall help them with all their heart, according as the time shall be appointed them.
Right. So Judas, he didn't want to. He agreed to help them fight in war against the Grecians, but it was just to help in war. Go ahead.
Salaki, Judas is breaking the law, right? Making a covenant with the Romans, right?
Right. At that time, at this time, he was hearing how strong they was and how they was conquering everybody, and he was trying to get them to fight the Grecians. But yes, at the end of the day, you don't. It's certain times you can't do business.
Okay.
It's another scripture where it's though at a time when I believe it was King Solomon who made a deal with some heathens, and it was about trading wood. Like I think this heathen land had like cedar. I forgot what kind of wood it was. Was cedar? It was a good cedar. Was a good strong wood that they needed to build whatever.
It's like it was a temple.
To build a temple, but that cedar was from heathen land. But that cedar was good wood, strong wood. So at the time he was at peace, wasn't making war with the heathens. You can make business deals like that with the heathens. So that wood, that cedar, and so, I don't see if you can find that one. So we'll make sure. But go ahead.
Salaki, but in this case right here,
that's why he's trying to. It seems like he's trying not to really take anything from them, like money or accept money or anything from them. He's just trying to make a allegiance with war. But we're gonna read more on the story, and we're gonna read more into the story. Go ahead.
But wouldn't that be more like asking for help, and protection?
Mm-hmm.
Like not really protection, but like that's kind of like asking for aid other than the Lord.
Exactly. He should have required the Lord. So we'll see what happens because he did that. Go ahead and read.
Salaki, I'm off a little bit. This is the Romans. Neither should have given anything.
He was at 26.
Salaki, and I was down. Money rituals. According to verse 29. Salaki, about like 28. Verse 28, neither shall victuals be given to them that take part against them, or weapons, or money, or ships, as it have seemed good to the Romans, but they shall keep their covenants, and that without deceit. Verse 29, according to these articles did the Romans make a covenant with the people of the Jews. Mm-hmm. Verse 30, howbeit, if hereafter the one party or the other shall think meet and add or diminish anything, they may do it at their pleasures, and whatsoever they shall add or take away shall be ratified. Mm-hmm. Verse 31, and as touching the evils that Demetrius doeth to the Jews, we have written unto him, saying, wherefore hast thou made thy yoke heavy upon our friends and confederates the Jews? Mm-hmm. Verse 32. If therefore they complain any more against thee, we will do them justice and fight with thee by sea and by land. First Maccabees chapter 9, verse 1. Furthermore, when Demetrius heard that Nicanor, his host, were slain in battle, he sent Bachides and alchemists into the land of Judea the second time, and with them the chief strength of his host. Verse 2, who went forth by the way that leadeth to Galgala, and pitched their tents before Masaloth, which is in Arbela. After they had won it, they slew much people. Verse 3. Also, the first month of the 152nd year, they encamped before Jerusalem. Verse 4. From whence they removed and went to Berea.
Right. So right now, so Demetrius, he's an enemy. He was an enemy to Israel, and him hearing the power move that Judas was trying to make with the Romans. So now they can be protected from the Grecians, and from Demetrius. I believe Demetrius is a Grecian. We can go back. You know, he said he tried to counter that, and then he tried to go to war with Israel right away. Go ahead.
It's like I found the verse where King Solomon got the timber from cedar from King Hiram.
Mm-hmm. Did it give his nation? Nationality? Okay.
1 Kings chapter 5, verse 5. And behold, I purpose to build an house unto the name of the Lord my God, and the Lord spake unto David my father, saying, thy son, whom I will set upon thy throne in thy room, he will build a house unto my name. Verse 6. Now therefore command thou that they hew me cedar trees out of Lebanon, and my servants shall be with thy servants, and unto thee will I give hire for thy servants according to all that thou shalt appoint. For thou knowest that there is not among us any that can skill to hew timber like unto the Sidonians. And it came to pass when Hiram heard the words of Solomon that he rejoiced greatly and said, blessed be the Lord this day, which hath given unto David a wise son over his people. And Hiram sent to Solomon, saying, I have considered the things which thou sentest to me for, and I will do all thy desire concerning timber of cedar, and concerning timber of fire.
Right. So, and you're going to see in the times when Yahweh shall come back, heathens going to be set back in their land also, but they're going to know who's in charge. They know that Christ is in charge. They can be set in their land also. I believe that's in Isaiah. So they're going to be set in their land also, and they're going to be bringing back and forth onyx and gold and silver and things to the gates of Israel day in and night. So you see here, King Solomon he hired some heathens to get it because they had that cedar, and no one could really cut that cedar and deal with that cedar like those heathens at the time. What nationality was? They was Zidonians. They were Zidonians. They weren't Israelites. So this time right here, Judas try to make a deal with the Romans to protect, to get more fighting power against the Grecians, and we'll just see, what happened. But of course, we will always require the Lord first. We're just going to see what's going to happen. All right. Go ahead.
It's like I got that precept you just speaking about, when Yahweh shall come back and he go separate the nations.
Which one? Go ahead. Which one?
Slaki, it's Matthew chapter 25, verse 32. Mm-hmm. And before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. Mm-hmm. Verse 33. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on his left. Verse 34. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, come, ye blessed of my father, and heard the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. Verse 35. For For I was an hungered. For I was an hungry, and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. Verse 36. Naked, and ye clothed me. I was sick, and ye visited me. I was in prison, and ye came unto me. Verse 37. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee and hungry, and fed thee, or thirsty, and gave thee drink? Verse 38. When saw we thee a stranger?
Hey, you stop. Let me know if you drop down and you say something. If you said something about the left, so that's about the right side. This scripture is talking about when the when you come back, they're gonna ask, when did I do this? And this is the precept of showing when the people listen and obey to the priests and prophets of the Most High. People obey them, people listen to their words, their advice, their righteous advice, which was to come back to the Most High. Come back to the Most High, follow His commandments, and that Christ is going to be king over Israel. Go ahead.
This verse 41. Would you like me to continue?
I want you to drop down to if he mentions the left side.
This is verse 41.
Okay, go ahead.
I will come. Verse 41. Then shall he say also unto them on the left hand, depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. Verse 42. For I was hungry, and ye gave me no meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me no drink.
So this is another precept that's really shown by, it's a belief in Isaiah. You can drop that. You can pick back up in the Apocrypha.
Verse 4. From whence they removed and went to Berea with 20,000 footmen and 2,000 horsemen. Verse 5. Now Judas had pitched his tents at Eleazar, and 3,000 chosen men with him. Verse 6. Who seeing the multitude of the other army to be so great were sore afraid. Whereupon many conveyed themselves out of the host, insomuch as there abode of them no more but 800 men. Verse 7. Then Judas therefore saw that his host slipped away, and that the battle pressed upon him. He was sore troubled in mind and much distressed, but that he had no time to gather them together. Verse 8. Nevertheless, unto them that remained, he said, let us arise and go up against our enemies. If peradventure we may be able to fight with them. Verse 9. But they dehorted him, saying, we shall never be able. Let us now rather save our lives, and hereafter we will return with our brethren and fight against them, for we are but few. Verse 10. Then Judas said, God forbid that I should do this thing and flee away from them. If our time be come, let us die manfully for our brethren, and let us not stain our honor. Verse 11.
Right. So now it's trouble here. It's trouble here because now Demetrius coming to fight them, and they're starting to lose some men. They're starting to lose the fight, and Judas is trying to press on, and the brothers there is like, nah, we won't die if we fight today. Which is usually not the case. Usually not the case at all. Something going on. Go ahead.
Verse 11. With that, the host of Maccabees removed out of their tents and stood over against them. Their horsemen being divided into two troops, and their slingers and archers going before the host. and they that marched in the forward were all mighty men. Verse 12, for Bacchides, he was in the right wing. So the host drew near on the two parts and sounded their trumpets. Verse 13, they also of Judas' side, even they sounded their trumpets also, so that the earth shook at the noise of the armies, and the battle continued from morning till night. Verse 14, now when Judas perceived that Bacchides and the strength of his army were on the right side, he took with him all the hardy men. Verse 15, who discomfited the right wing and pursued them on to the mount Azotus. Verse 16, but when they of the left wing saw that they of the right wing were discomfited, they followed upon Judas and those that were with him hard at the heels from behind. Verse 17, whereupon there was a sore battle, and so much as many were slain on both parts. Verse 18, Judas also was killed, and the remnant fled.
Right, so at this time the Lord wasn't with him. You know what I'm saying? At this time, and that can happen. Like we always gotta remind each other of the Lord. It can be you can have 50, 100 victories, but one day or sometime, like you forget the Lord, or you like Judas and was glorious and fought many wars and freed many of his people from those different cities, great cities and strongholds that held Israelites captives. And then all of a sudden, you hear the rumor of Rome, who has conquered all his past enemies. Because like Judas had killed a lot of their men in the army, but sometimes didn't fully kill off the whole kingdom. Like King Antiochus, Judas didn't kill him. He killed like a lot of his men, but he didn't kill King Antiochus' whole kingdom. And it was like that for some other heathen kingdoms also. But here you go, you got Rome. Rome come and just destroy or have everybody under submission, whereas though they pay them tribute, basically taxes and money every month or whenever set time they had. Conquer all of Israel's past enemies at that time. Judas hears the rumor of that, like, man, they strong and mighty, and wants to make a deal with the heathens. So as you asked before, is he going against the Lord? Yes, he was. You know what I'm saying? In the war, at this time, the Lord wasn't with him at this time, and he died. Let's continue on.
Verse 19. Then Jonathan and Simon took Judas, their brother, and buried him in the sepulchre of his fathers in Modin. I said it right. Sepulchre. Mm-hmm. Verse 20. Moreover, they bewailed him, and all Israel made great lamentation for him, and mourned many days, saying, verse 21, how is the valiant man fallen that delivered Israel?
Right, because he went and conquered and fought so many different, strongholds and took down many cities that had Israelites slaves, and he went and freed them. And he was joining them back to Israel, back to the nation again, to worship the Most High, follow the Most High, keep their laws. And they trying to figure out, how can a valiant man like that fall? Go ahead and read.
Verse 22, Tom come. As for the other things concerning Judas and his wars and the noble acts which he did and his greatness, they were not written, for they were very many.
Right, he had many wars and many noble acts, and a lot of them weren't even written because it was too damn much. It was a lot. That's how much work he put in for Israel.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Go ahead.
Verse 23. Now after the death of Judas, the wicked began to put forth their heads in all the coast of Israel, and there arose up all such as wrought iniquity. Verse 24, in those days also there was a great famine.
Right, and the wicked men also, these are Israelites, but these are your today Christian pastors. These are your wicked leaders who would lead, who are leading people to the narrow pit. Like your pastor, and he has the Bible, and the Bible is against same-sex relations, against two of the same genders having sex, against eating pork. The Bible is against all that. Your pastor will teach that you can eat pork, you can eat crab, shrimp, or lobster, you can be gay, you can. And the reason he's doing that is because now he's working. He's a whore for America, and these wicked men were whores for heathen kingdoms like Greece, Rome, and whoever else was in power. Go ahead.
Come. Verse 24. In those days also there was a very great famine, by reason whereof the country revolted and went with them. Verse 25. Then Maccabees chose the wicked men and made them lords of the country.
See, you got to choose wicked leaders and make them lords over the Israelites. That's what we got right now. Right now, of course, we got wicked men over us. You know what I'm saying? All the TD Jakes, Al Sharptons, Creflo Dollar. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people that we look up to, Steve Harvey, whoever people look up to, Tyler Perry, people look up to get advice from them and look at them like powerful and wise men. You'll see, if you look close enough and see what the hell they're doing, they're wicked men. And they don't really require what the Lord says, even though they might give Bible scriptures. You might hear Bible scriptures and think, oh, this is a man of God, but no, they're not. They're just a man after their own heart, and after their own lust. Go ahead.
Come. Verse 25. Then Maccabees, verse 26. And they made inquiry and searched for Judas's friends, and brought them unto Maccabees, who took vengeance of them and used them despitefully. Verse 27. So was there great affliction in Israel, the like whereof was not since the time that a prophet was not seen among them.
Right, that's the thing. Like, you in trouble, and there ain't even no prophet around. Like, no prophet, no priest around. You just going through hell with no savior. Go ahead.
It's like, if I could, just reading this one verse right here, when it was saying, they sought his friends and then took vengeance on them. That it just goes to show you how much power, not power, but how much responsibility that you have as a leader. Because if you're a leader and you're actually leading people and you're out in the face of people and people know that you stand with this leader, and then you turn your back on the Most High, or you slip and fall. Now you're subjecting the people who you led to ridicule just as well as if you were there.
Right. That's just like when a brother, when Christ told him that you're gonna, what did Christ tell you? Betray me for the
three times.
For the rooster crow twice, 3 times.
Come.
Like, you know what I'm saying? People ask him, like, ain't you a brother that follow Christ, or apostle of Christ? Like, no. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that, like you're saying, just like the apostles that follow Christ, people gonna know and see who you are and gonna ask you. Just like here in the school, sometimes it usually happens for a brother that's like, when they're new in the school, at times they start to feel the shame. Because I've seen it before where it's a brother, usually it's a brother that's first coming to the school, before he's a trooper, when he's a trooper. Satan's going to attack you with whatever your weakness is. So if your weakness is wanting to get attention from women, he'll come at you with that. And if you're strong enough, you'll fail. I mean, if you're weak enough, you'll fail. If you're strong enough, you can get past it. So it was one brother who came into the school. He started posting UPK stuff on his page. He went to a party or something. He was trying to holler at a girl, and the girl was like, "I seen your Facebook. Nah, you with that crazy shit. Blah blah. You with this." He got denied. That'll fold a weak man. Because now, and you don't realize it either. Same thing with me. When I first came in, I came in at like the age of 19, and I swear, like around like Christmas time, everybody's in the Christmas spirit, and I started posting scriptures on Christmas. I literally lost 200 followers on Instagram. And like for a young man or people who care about your followers, and you lose 200 followers, you can be like, oh man, because when I seen it, I said, damn, I lost 200 followers. At that time, I could have been like, oh no, you know what? Nah, they make me lose followers. People in the world don't like this. I need to lighten my image up and leave the school off of that. But I chose to stay and was like, forget about it. And I gained back way more followers through the other years. So with this brother here, after he heard that the sister dissed him, he left the school. And I started seeing him, and he's such an idiot. I started seeing him post pictures and stuff like that. He tried to become more entertaining to the world. And it didn't work. He was still lame. Like he was still a Bama. Mm-hmm. Like he didn't have that what it took to attract women anyway. He would have, he would have attracted more women here in the school. He could have had women in the school, ribs in the school right now. That's why I texted him like 2 years after. It's like, bro, you can get women in the school. You ain't gotta do that for women in the world who that you can't even get. Mm-hmm. Or you will get, and it's not even gonna be what you want. Like they're gonna use you for something or just eventually leave you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So but Satan to try you with different things and try to pull you out of here. So it's ridiculous. But what did I even bring that for?
Oh, because Sloppy, what you say?
It was saying if you're a leader and you fall off, your followers are going to get persecuted because you're not.
Sorry. Yeah. So you gotta just stand strong. I brought that up to the show to stand strong. That's what it was. Like with the 200 followers I lost, and then my sister went to the same high school as me, so everybody, all the people in high school never talk to me, but they'll talk to her and say, "Your brother's crazy," and they would never talk to me ever again. Like it was some dude who was I was friends in high school. He did photography. I seen him in person, and he was a photographer. So I texted him like, "Yo, I need pictures of me and my wife or something." He would not respond back to my text just because I was in school. Like that's how much of a sucker Christian he was. He didn't want no parts of me because I'm scary. The school was scary. Like just, suckers. Go ahead.
So like I face the same thing on my worldly page in Facebook. That's why I purposely made a UPK only page that I mainly be on. Mm-hmm. But when I like to post.
Do it.
I like to post things. I find a lot of great posts that fishing wise or teaching wise, and the UPK went, and I put them on my worldly joint. Right. But I just said like I noticed the fall off from my post. Like I used to post stuff and get almost 100 likes. Like I'm a guy, to me that's a lot. You know what I mean? Right. Like 100 likes. 80 likes. Let me put a regular picture up. Like still even there. Right. I put a regular picture up with the crown on. I get like 80 likes. But let me put something positive up that's really telling you something. 2, 3. They see it. I know they see it.
People see it.
They see it, but it's like it's not popular.
Keep posting it. People will see it, and eventually, some people will catch on your other page, and some people just won't. But it's the same. Like I said, it's the same thing for myself. Like it's like many people in the world that follow on Facebook. That's just what it is. That's just what it is, man. That's the reason why, and the reason is because the truth is not popular.
All right.
The truth is not popular, but doing something worldly is popular. Go ahead.
So I'm gonna take that as counsel because just like yesterday or the day before, I said, man, I'm about to take a break from this worldly page because to me, it's aggravating.
Nah, I mean,
to me, it's aggravating.
It
shows me their true colors, and I've never been the type. People know me. I don't be around nobody that ain't real.
It ain't. Don't even take it to heart. What happening is you just seeing the truth.
Come.
That's it. It's no need to react and pissed off at it. it's showing you who. It's going to show you the people who in the school. I mean, it's going to show you that your brothers who are around you now are the strongest individuals you'll ever meet compared to the 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 followers that somebody got. And they'll see how the people who follow their page will turn against them or not even like that stuff anymore. It just shows you the truth. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Shalak, I'm gonna take the counsel and I'm gonna go ahead and just keep banging. But even in the world, I never ever dealt with anybody I felt like was fake or being, a certain type of way with me. Everybody who knows me knows that.
I mean,
like, so I wouldn't be any different.
You'll see how people act. You are dealing with more fake people than what you think. You are, even though you think you're fighting against fake people, you dealing with way more fake people than you think.
Okay.
You will find out your own family, your own people that you grew up in a house with for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30, 40 years, however long you was living with them, how fake they are.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, with that, let's continue.
Okay.
You can call, you pick up for him. I don't know what verse you was at.
I believe it was 28, verse 28.
Verse 28. For this cause all Judas' friends came together and said unto Jonathan, Since my brother Judas died, we have no man like him to go forth against our enemies, and Bacchides, and amongst them of our nation that are adversaries to us. Verse 30. Now therefore we have chosen thee this day to be our prince and captain in his stead, that thou mayest fight our battles. Upon this Jonathan took the governance upon him at that time, and rose up instead of his brother Judas. But when Bacchides got knowledge thereof, he sought for to slay him. Then Jonathan and Simon his brother and all that were with him perceiving that, fled into the wilderness of Thesoe.
No, go ahead. We'll go to Thesoe. Go ahead.
Thesoe, and pitched their tents by the water of the pool of Asphar. Mm-hmm. Verse 34. Which when Bacchides understood, he came near to Jordan with all his hosts upon the Sabbath day. With all his hosts upon the Sabbath day. Now Jonathan had sent his brother John, a captain of the people, to pray his friends the Nabathites that they might leave with them their carriage, which was much. But the children of Jambri came out of Madaba and took John and all that he had and went their way with it. After this came word of Jonathan and Simon his brother that the children of Jambri made a great marriage and were bringing the bride of Nadabatha with a great train, as being the daughter of one of the great princes of Canaan. Verse 38. Therefore they remembered John their brother and went up and hid themselves under the covert of the mountain, where they lifted up their eyes and looked, and beheld, there was much ado and great carriage. And the bridegroom came forth, and his friends and brethren, to meet them with drums and instruments of music and many weapons. When Jonathan and they that were with him rose up against them from the place where they lay in ambush, and made a slaughter of them in such sort as many fell down dead, and the remnant fled into the mountain, and they took all their spoils. Verse 41. Thus was the marriage turned into mourning, and the noise of their melody into lamentation.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So, Jonathan's brother John was taken, and they remember their brother and went to go seek revenge, man. Go ahead.
Khan.
And they had to get those spoils because they running from now, what's his name?
Bacchides?
Bacchides, it's after them now. And they got to go into the wilderness like we did all the time. That's why they got a catacomb in Rome. There's plenty of places that we went and had to go underground or in the wilderness or into some tunnel or in some cave to worship the Most High, or to get away from our enemies who were trying to stop us from worshiping the Most High. Go ahead.
Okay. Verse 42. So when they had avenged fully the blood of their brother,
so they had, as I said, they had to get vengeance. That's what it. And you see, they avenged fully the blood of their brother. Go ahead.
they turned again to the marsh of Jordan. Now when Maccabees heard hereof, he came on the Sabbath day unto the banks of Jordan with a great power. Then Jonathan said to his company, let us go up now and fight for our lives, for it standeth not with us today, as in time past. For behold, the battle is before us and behind us, and the water of Jordan on this side and that side. The marsh likewise and wood, neither is there a place for us to turn aside. Wherefore cry ye now unto heaven, that ye may be delivered from the hand of your enemies. With that they joined battle, and Jonathan stretched forth his hand to smite Maccabees, but he turned back from him. When Jonathan and they that were with him leapt into Jordan and swam over unto the other bank, howbeit the other passed not over Jordan unto them. So there were slain of Maccabees' side that day about 1,000 men. Afterward returned Maccabees to Jerusalem and repaired the strong cities of Judea, the fort in Jericho and Emmaus and Betharon and Bethel and Thamnatha, Pharaothoni, and Taphon.
Right, these are different cities of over there in Israel at that time. So this heathen had conquered, because of course Jonathan and Judah, they were a smaller group, so they fled from Israel. Mm-hmm. But this heathen was in control of Israel, and what he did was he went back to Israel and he started making strongholds like tall walls and try to build a gate and strong fort and everything surrounding Israel, because he knew that, or he feared that Jonathan will come. He knew that Jonathan was coming back to get Israel to take back the Holy Land, to take back Israel, take back Jerusalem. Go ahead.
Shalaki, I noticed in the story like a difference in, he looked towards the Most High for protection because they were surrounded by the waters and surrounded by armies on both sides, and they ended up coming out the victors.
Right, and that's what that always happened. Like I say, you see with Judas at the end, or at that time, he just heard of it. Was like, you know what? Let's try to make, agreeing with the heathens. Then you see, which is ridiculous, but you see the people that Moses freed from Egypt, like the spirit passing over their city, over their part where they were living at, and killing every firstborn of Egypt, plaguing Egypt, doing everything in Egypt, and then Moses freed them from Egypt out of the captivity, just for them to get to the wilderness. And now because they get hungry, all of a sudden they forget or don't care about the Most High freeing them from Egypt. They want to go back. Some of them want to go back to Egypt because it was better food there. Imagine that. Imagine you're a slave, you're free from slavery, but you want to go back to the plantation because master fed you peanut butter and jelly. And out here in the wilderness, you got to hunt your own food. You got to shoot a deer or something like that. It just shows you the integrity of Israel, of people. Specifically Israelites. And that will happen all the time. It'll happen with those that act like that with Moses, and they still was turning their back. Like every small thing that happened, like they couldn't eat, or like something would happen. They said, "Oh, you brought us out here to the wilderness just so we can die." Like just very blatant, very disrespectful, and ungrateful. So it'll happen like that. Judas won so many wars, and he did so many good work, so many good things. It couldn't even fit in the dang apocrypha. It couldn't even fit in the book and records. But he heard that some strong army was like, well, maybe I can use them I can join with them, and that wasn't the case. We always got to stick with the Most High, no matter what. Mm-hmm.
It's like, so like when the kingdom comes in and, you know, things switch back over and we're governing the world, you know, it's gonna be chaos before everything's all back together. You know, I'm just wondering like how history repeats itself, where the people be like, oh man, it used to be better, you know, when we still in the slave mentality when we free now. You know what I mean?
What do you mean, like after when Christ burns everything?
The kingdom, yeah, because everything gonna be burnt down.
That one might be different.
Come.
It might be different because it's gonna be should be 144 chosen men. So those 144 chosen men will be with Israel set up the kingdom, set up the kingdom. Does that mean would that mean there would be no wickedness? No. Men is going to commit sin, but at that time there's going to be dealt with. It's not going to be able to. It's not going to just go freely, because of course one sin, all that small things will just spread and become something great.
Okay.
But you know they're going to be killed and be dealt with. Go ahead. What's you going to say?
It's like I was going. You just misspoke. 144,000, sir.
What are you going to say?
144.
Okay, yeah, 144,000. Yeah. You know, so those are going to be chosen men to rule and fight, go to war with the Most High. I mean, to be in the army of the Most High. I mean, the army of Christ, and to govern the world. Go ahead. What was that? Did you have any other question?
So it's like I'm just saying, you know, like in between that time of, you know, the greatness being built up of the kingdom, you know, you got 144,000, but right at that beginning part right there, you know, it's like people gonna be some people still with the slave mentality, like complaining still.
They just gonna be dealt with. You know, so they could be killed, I mean, or whatever. But it's gonna be more easier because it's like right now, like the only reason why the people complain at that time, the only reason why people complain at that time is because you have an option of a ruler, rather it's a wicked ruler or a righteous ruler. Like Moses was a righteous leader, led to the Most High. But they got experience of when Moses was a righteous leader, but at that time he was not rich. That's why they were moving to the land of milk and honey, a better flourishing land. Now you got a wicked ruler who's right, you know. We looking for the land of milk and honey. Damn land of milk and honey. We know what a land that has, you know, the good apples and the grapes and all that. Why don't we just go back? You not forgetting about the rigorous work and slavery he put on you. You forgetting about when he told the midwives to kill your sons. Like in Egypt, Pharaoh wanted all Israelite boys, infants that came, as soon as they came out of the womb, wanted the midwives to kill them. So you can continue to have sex and all that, but you can have the daughter's gonna live. Have a son die. So Israel couldn't have any more men to be prophets. It'll kill all God's prophets, all his priests, all God's warriors. And then Israel would not be able to flourish and be fruitful and multiply. He did not want the people to multiply. He did not want the population of Israel to grow. It literally says it in Exodus, I believe the first chapter. So all that was up against us. We finally get out of Egypt. We crying to get out of Egypt. Get out of Egypt. As soon as you're hungry, a lot of you want to go back. That's just how weak it is. At that time, but at that time of Christ, it ain't gonna be nobody to run to. That's what my point is. It ain't like, you know what I'm saying, it ain't gonna be, you want to, if somebody is such an idiot to bring up America, or think they're gonna bring up America, well, America at that time could be the burning lake of fire. They could go get dropped off, but they could be burning up. And they could be nowhere to go. It could be a lake of fire. So you want to go back, fine. Drop them off. You can get burned. Go ahead.
Sorry, if I could, will this land ever be inhabitable after that, or will it just be like a forever warning?
I'm not sure. It just says it's gonna burn. It's gonna burn, be a lake of fire. Who knows if the fire burn out? Maybe it will go out, but for sure it's gonna be on fire. So I'm not sure. What?
I was about to say, Salaki, that, you know, that was the intent of the Pharaoh, you know, try to, you know, so many things to hinder us in every way. Most High Christ to the midwives refusing to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right, yeah, there's really some people that it's gonna be people that stand up for us. People that are gonna stand up for the Most High. It's always gonna be for the most part, it's gonna be always few people who really follow. Like a few, like even it said it in the scriptures.
Mm-hmm.
Like it even said, I believe it. Like I'm trying to find a scripture where it said, like even the churches or like when they do the like when they praising the Most High, it's always like a small group of people compared to the whole population of Israel. I mean, of people during certain times.
Mm-hmm.
Just like every time we got conquered, look who ran to the cave. Probably a couple thousand people,
right,
compared to 60,000, 200,000 people. Some people was like, nah, you know what? I'll just stay here. Okay, what's the name of my leader? Alexander the Greek is my leader. Fine. I'll stop celebrating the Sabbath. I'll stop celebrating all of high holy days. I'll start celebrating Christmas now. I'll start worshiping Zeus. Fine. Because I'm just trying to live. I'm just trying to survive. Same thing with slavery. A lot of us got here through survivors. All our people, all our great grandfathers or great great grands could have been ones who did what they had to do to survive, to keep on living. Others died because they fought against it. So, but a lot of us got here through survival, which means put your head down, be a good boy, listen to master, don't make any noise or don't make any, don't be a nuisance. Just be a good slave, a good servant.
Oh, come.
You know. All right, we'll pick up. What verse we at?
We left off at verse 49, sir. Verse 49.
We'll read a couple more verses and we'll wrap up.
Kind. Verse 50. Afterward returned Maccabees to Jerusalem and repaired the strong city of Judea. The fort in Jericho and Emmaus and Betharon and Bethel and Thamnathah and Paratoni and Taphon. These did he strengthen with high walls, with gates, and with bars. And in them he set a garrison that they might work malice upon Israel.
Right. So he built a fort around Israel. So he trying to block Israel. He's trying to block Israel from leaving out, and he's trying to block whoever trying to save Israel from coming in. And within that, he's doing all kind of wickedness, putting them to extra slavery, extra hard labor, killing them, whatever he's doing. All malice. Go ahead.
Verse 52. He fortified also the city Bethsura and Jezerah and the tower, and put forces in them and provisions of victuals. Besides, he took the chief men's son in the country for hostages and put them into the tower at Jerusalem to be kept.
Right.
Go ahead. Moreover, in the 150 and third year, in the second month, Alcimus commanded that the wall of the inner court of the sanctuary shall be pulled down as the works of the prophets. And as he began to pull down, even at that time was Alcimus plagued, and his enterprises hindered, for his mouth was stopped, and he was taken with palsy, so that he could no more speak anything nor give order concerning his house.
Right. The Lord gave him palsy. He couldn't say nothing. So they just doing evil, wicked things to Israel. Evil, wicked things, man. Go ahead.
Verse 56. So Alcimus died at that time with great torment. Now when Maccabees saw that Alcimus was dead.
Right, great torment, meaning he got palsy, he gets stricken with disease. When you die, it's people that, die of old age. You be with your grandmother tomorrow. You literally be with your grandmother, grandfather, having a good time, cooking greens and eating watermelon. and you don't even know that's not the last night, that you're gonna see him. But it was a good night. You had a good night, chilling, eating, having a cookout, whatever. And the next day, grandma didn't wake up. That's grandma dying in peace.
Mm-hmm.
That is peaceful. Now, you can die in torment, whereas though you just have all kind of disease, high blood pressure, palsy, things that make your skin itch, bad what they call that?
Gout.
Got gout, but it's another thing too.
Arthritis.
Arthritis.
Oh,
You have painful arthritis. You have all kind of pain, torments in your body. That's that. You don't want to die like that. Because that means like you got it. You got palsy. You got arthritis. You got this. You got this. You got that. But it's taking. You might have this for years, and you would rather just die than to have that pain. Go ahead.
okay. Verse 57. Now when Bacchadi saw that Alcimus was dead, he returned to the king, whereupon the land of Judea was in rest 2 years. Then all the ungodly men held a council, saying, Behold, Jonathan and his company are at ease, and dwell without care. Now therefore we will bring Bacchades hither, who shall take them all in one night. So they went and consulted with him. Then removed he and came with a great host, and sent letters privy to his adherents in Judea, that they should take Jonathan and those that were with him, howbeit they could not, because their counsel was known unto them.
Right, so you got wicked men. This same counsel right here, where they see this, and now they're trying to set Jonathan up, and because now Jonathan they at rest, they're chilling. They're not worried about being at war and all that. They relax. Oh yeah, we're gonna get them. We're gonna set them up. We're gonna send them to the heathens. It's the same thing what happened with Christ. The Sadducees and Pharisees at that time said if we let Christ alone, then nobody will believe in them. Nobody will follow along. Nobody will believe in them. And they want to do something about it. So they got all the men, all the people to be against it. All the people up to be against Christ. To kill Christ. You know what I'm saying? Class, please no question.
Security announcements. With I.S.U.P.K on the west 125th Street on the other connection of YAHANNA. New rules of the citizens. When a new brother sister comes to the school, there to be they're all for 6 months. 6 months. They're to be saluted only. They're to be in the world. After 6 months, if a brother has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission to head to speak for a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will call each other. After the 6 month period, the brother and sister will get permission to head to marriage. Which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers 18, 1, and Malachi 8%. Means 10 in Hebrew and it's pronounced I.S.U.P.K. 10% of every increase, 10% of every increase for gives you get the charity department or a teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests. 9 minutes for it was for a month like to get upcoming holy convocation. The blowing of the memorial blowing of trumpets. This is the first day of the 7th month, Monday, 6th September 2021. You can find it in Leviticus 23, 24, and 25. Also, we have the Congo Midwest Cookout. We got the Midwest Cookout, which is coming up here pretty soon. We're about to get the dates right quick. 1 second. Also, if you'd like to know the dates for all the cookouts this summer, go back
ISUPK.com. You can find all the information on ISUPK.com. Or you can find that as well. July 21st is July 21st through the 25th is the next. I forgot what will be held in Kabul. We also have a community coming up tonight. It's on every Monday night from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tune in to Facebook and YouTube. Like, subscribe, share, click the notification bell so you can get notified whenever we comes on. Remind I came out to everything else. Remind I came out to check on social media ISUPK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for ISUPK and materials. Once you get into school, you start wearing all black, which includes black boots, black shirts, black pants, black pants, a scarf. With that, I say, Michael, we should stand. Walking down the social media, turn to face the east. We're going to say the Lord's way, pray first of Hebrew, we have to meet. The walk.